She laughed too loudly at her coworker's question, the sound cutting through the low hum of the rooftop lounge like a shard of glass. Marry him? God. I'd rather claw my eyes out than be stuck with that forever. Her friends erupted in giggles, clinking their martini glasses as if she'd just delivered the punchline of the year. I sat there on the wicker couch beside her, my untouched whiskey in hand, watching the city lights flicker below us. The summer air was thick with humidity and the scent of expensive perfumes. I didn't flinch. I simply tilted my glass, took a slow sip, and set it down on the teak table with a quiet clink. Then I stood, smoothed my shirt, and walked toward the elevator without a word. My girlfriend's voice trailed after me, half amused, half confused. Babe, where are you going? I didn't answer. The elevator doors slid open, and I stepped inside, pressing the button for the lobby. As they closed, I caught one last glimpse of her face. Eyebrows raised, mouth parted in mild surprise, like I just declined dessert. The ride down was silent except for the soft jazz piping through the speakers. When I reached the street, the warm night wrapped around me, and I breathed it in deeply. My phone buzzed almost immediately. It was her. I let it ring out, then buzzed again with a text. Seriously? What's wrong with you? Another. It was a joke. Come back up. I slipped the phone into my pocket and walked to my truck parked 2 blocks away. The engine turned over with a familiar rumble, and I pulled into traffic, heading home an hour later. As I stood in the kitchen pouring a glass of water, my phone rang again. This time I answered. Ryan? Her voice was smaller now, threaded with unease. Why did you just leave like that? You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I leaned against the counter, staring at the granite I'd helped pick out last year. Just saving you from a lifetime of misery, apparently. Silence stretched on the line. Then a shaky exhale. That's not. I didn't mean it like that. It was just girl talk. You know how we get. Good night, Vanessa. I ended the call and turned the phone face down. Our condo was on the 15th floor of a sleek building downtown, all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist furniture she'd curated from Pinterest boards. I'd always liked the view, the river winding through the city, the bridges lit up at night. But tonight it felt like a stage set for someone else's life. I walked past the living room where her throw pillows were arranged just so, past the bedroom where her dresses hung in perfect color order, and into the spare room I'd converted into an office and gym. The weights sat in neat rows, my drafting table covered in blueprints for the custom cabinetry projects I took on the side. I sat at the desk and opened my laptop. The screen glowed softly in the dark. First, I changed the passwords on every account that mattered: banking, investments, email, cloud storage. Then I opened a new spreadsheet titled Transition Plan and began typing. Phase 1. Secure essentials tonight. Pack clothes, documents, tools, laptop, gym gear into duffels. Move to spare room. Phase 2. Locate short-term housing. Search furnished lofts or extended stay suites downtown or near the workshop. Phase 3. Movers for larger items, tool chests, drafting table, weight bench. Storage unit if needed. Phase 4. Financial separation. Cancel joint credit card. Transfer my portion of savings to new solo account. Review lease. I'm not on it. She insisted on keeping it in her name after we moved in together. Phase 5. Communication boundaries. Block where necessary. Draft brief. Neutral message if required for logistics. My fingers moved steadily. The clarity was startling, like stepping out of a steam-filled bathroom into cold air. Everything sharpened. By 2 a.m. I'd booked a furnished 1-bedroom loft in a converted warehouse 5 miles away. Available tomorrow. I'd scheduled movers for 8 a.m. the next morning with specific instructions. Office/gym items only, plus any boxes marked Ryan in the closet. I packed 2 large duffels with clothes, toiletries, my passport, birth certificate, and the external hard drive with all my design files. I carried them into the spare room and shut the door. My phone had vibrated itself nearly dead on the counter. Missed calls, increasingly frantic texts. I powered it off and slept on the guest bed without dreaming. Morning light filtered through the blinds when I heard her key in the lock around noon. Heels clicked uncertainly across the hardwood. "Ryan?" Her voice echoed slightly in the open space. "Are you here?" I stayed in the office, door closed, reviewing invoices for an upcoming kitchen remodel. Footsteps approached, paused outside. A soft knock. "Can we talk? Please." I didn't respond. "This is insane. You're being dramatic over something stupid," I said while drinking. Silence. The footsteps retreated, faster now, accompanied by a frustrated huff. A door slammed, our bedroom. The movers arrived precisely on time. I met them in the lobby and rode up with them. She was in the kitchen when we entered, eyes red-rimmed, hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing one of my old college hoodies like armor. Her gaze darted from me to the two men in uniforms. "What is this?" "Moving my things," I said calmly, leading the crew toward the office. She followed. "You're seriously leaving?" Over one comment. I didn't pause as I pointed out the weight bench, the tool chests, the drafting table. "Wrap the table legs carefully. It's walnut." One of the movers nodded professionally. She grabbed my arm in the hallway. "Ryan, stop. We need to talk about this like adults." I met her eyes, really looked at her, for the first time since the rooftop. The woman I'd met 3 years ago at a mutual friend's cookout. The one who'd laughed at my terrible grilling skills and stayed to help clean up. The one who'd moved in 6 months later with 2 suitcases and big plans. "There's nothing to talk about," I said quietly. "You were honest last night. I'm just acting on it." Her mouth opened, closed. Tears welled. "I was drunk and showing off for Lauren and Liv. You know I do that sometimes." "I do know." I gently removed her hand from my arm. "That's the problem." The movers worked efficiently. In under 40 minutes, everything that was truly mine was loaded. I handed the foreman a tip and the spare key to leave on the counter. She stood in the doorway as I picked up my duffels. "So that's it? 3 years and you just vanish." I paused. "Take care of yourself, Vanessa." Then I walked out. The new loft was raw brick and exposed beams, with huge industrial windows overlooking a quieter part of the river. Came furnished with simple, sturdy pieces, nothing fussy. I unpacked my clothes into the dresser, set up my drafting table by the best light, and arranged the weights in the second bedroom. The silence was immense and welcome. That evening, eating takeout pad thai on the floor because the table was covered in blueprints, my phone, now on with new notifications silenced, lit up with messages forwarded from friends. "Lauren. Dude. Vanessa is destroyed. She didn't mean it like that. Liv. You're really ghosting her? That's cold. Mutual friend Jake. Bro, call me." She showed up at my place crying. I read them all, then archived the threads. The next week passed in measured rhythm. I went to job sites, met with clients, sanded and stained custom cabinetry in my rented workshop space. Evenings, I lifted weights or ran along the riverfront trail. I cooked simple meals, steak, eggs, vegetables. Slept deeply. Vanessa's messages evolved predictably. First, anger. "You're a petty asshole. My friends think you're having a breakdown." Then bargaining. "We can go to counseling. I'll stop going out so much. Whatever you need." Then nostalgia. "Remember our trip to the mountains? When we got snowed in and played cards for 3 days. I miss that." Attached. A photo of us by the fireplace, her head on my shoulder, both of us flushed from wine and laughter. I looked at it for a long moment, then deleted it. 2 weeks in, I got a call from her sister, Megan. "Ryan, it's Meg. Look, Vanessa's a wreck. She hasn't eaten properly in days. She's saying you just disappeared." "I'm fine, thanks for checking. I hope she gets the support she needs." A pause. "She said it was just banter. That you overreacted." "It wasn't banter to me." Megan sighed. "She can be cruel when she's insecure. But she does love you. Goodbye, Megan." I hung up. A month later. I closed on a small 1940s bungalow in a neighborhood of tree-lined streets and old oaks. It had good bones, hardwood floors, a detached two-car garage perfect for a workshop, and a backyard big enough for a vegetable garden. The kitchen was outdated avocado green, the bathrooms pink-tile disasters, but the price was right and the potential clear. I spent weekends ripping out carpet, refinishing floors, learning plumbing on YouTube. Friends from my woodworking group came over to help frame the new shop cabinets. We drank beer on the porch afterward, talking about grain patterns and joinery techniques. My business grew. Without the constant emotional triage our relationship had required, I took on larger commissions, full kitchen remodels, built-in library units. Clients recommended me to others. Money flowed in steadily. I joined a local climbing gym and started bouldering a few nights a week. Met people who talked about routes and holds, not drama. One evening, topping out on a tricky overhang, I looked down to see a woman spotting me. Short, dark hair, focused eyes, chalk-dusted hands. She gave me a thumbs up when I stuck the finish. Afterward, at the water fountain, she introduced herself as Elise. We ended up talking about favorite crags for 40 minutes. No pressure. No performance. Just easy conversation. 4 months after the rooftop, an email arrived from Tom, an old coworker of Vanessa's. Hey Ryan, hope this finds you well. I debated sending this but figured you deserve to know. Vanessa got let go from her marketing job last month. Performance issues, apparently. She's been struggling to pay rent on the condo alone. Word is she's moving back in with her parents temporarily. That comment she made at the rooftop happy hour got around our circle pretty fast. People weren't impressed. Lauren and Liv have distanced themselves. She says they chose sides. I always thought you were solid for her. Sorry it ended like that. Take care. Tommy read it once, felt nothing but mild gratitude for the update, and replied briefly, Thanks for the note, Tom. I'm doing great. Best to you. The final contact came on a rainy October night. My phone rang with an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but answered while stirring pasta sauce on my new stove. Ryan. Her voice was raw, stripped of its usual brightness. Please don't hang up. I turned the burner down. I'm in a bad place. The job loss, the condo, I had to break the lease. I'm at my parents' house and it's awful. I can't find work. Everyone knows what I said. A shaky breath. I was terrified of settling, of becoming ordinary. But I ruined the best thing I had because I wanted to seem edgy and independent. Silence from me. I miss you every day. The way you'd make coffee exactly how I liked it without asking. How you'd listen after my awful days. How safe I felt. Another breath closer to a sob. I'll do anything. Move wherever you are. Go to therapy. Change everything. I stirred the sauce slowly. Please say something. I'm sorry you're struggling, I said evenly. There are resources, unemployment offices, career counselors, therapists who specialize in transitions. Ryan, you're not my responsibility anymore. I ended the call. The next morning, a text from the same number, You're heartless. I dodged a bullet with someone so cold. Enjoy your pathetic little house and lonely life. I saved the screenshot, then blocked the number permanently. 6 months to the day after I walked away from that rooftop, I stood in my finished workshop staining the last of the built-in bookshelves for the living room. Sunlight streamed through the new windows I'd installed myself. The house smelled of wood and possibility. My phone buzzed. A text from Elise. Crag this weekend if the weather holds? I'll bring sandwiches. I smiled and typed back. Sounds perfect. Outside, the garden I'd planted was starting to yield tomatoes, basil, peppers, simple things grown from seed. Inside, the walls held my tools, my books, my plans. No curated perfection. Just honest space. I wiped my hands on a rag and stepped onto the back porch. The evening air was cool, carrying the scent of cut grass from a neighbor's yard. For the first time in years, every breath felt entirely my own.